Hello, everyone, and thank you for stopping by. I am going to be doing the beginner's guide, the ultimate beginner's guide to making your first project with your Cricut Maker, Cricut Explore Air, Cricut Explore Air 2, whichever Cricut machine you have. This one is going to be based strictly on design space, and then in the second part, we're going to be doing an image. In the third part, we're going to be actually showing you how to apply your vinyl. So stick with me and I will help you out. I got a few requests for a slowed down beginner's version of Design Space because it seems like this is the most intimidating part of the craft world. It did take me a while, but eventually I feel like I learned a lot. I haven't learned everything, but we're going to get started. So, I am going to be doing a simple text in this um, beginner guide. In the next video, I'll be doing a picture or an image, and in the third video, we'll be applying it. So, let's get started. So, the text that I decided to do is one for my mom. My mom is in a church group and she likes these little things for her um, friends in the church group. So I do little gifts for her to give out. So that's what we're going to be doing. So it's going to say thankful, grateful, and blessed. And what I'm doing is over here to the left in this left hand panel, we're going to click on text. And I'm going to type grateful and comma. I forgot to put the comma and thankful. And then we're going to text again and we're going to write the and symbol. And we're going to move that up and then we're going to write blessed. Okay. So that's what it's going to say. Now I did them all individually because I feel like it works better when you do them individually. But it's just your preference. You could actually come in here and type the entire thing. Thankful, grateful, and blessed. Oh, what did I do there? Oh, okay, there we go. Thankful, grateful, and blessed. But I just feel like it's easier if you do them separately. Okay, so when we come up here, we're going to have our letters and our words. And the first thing that I'm going to talk about is kerning. So that's a funny word. I hadn't heard about it until I started watching a bunch of YouTube videos. Kerning is actually making your letters together. So they won't be spaced out like this K and the F in thankful. And so they kind of look better. So before I kern, I'm going to actually pick my font. So I want them to all be the same fonts. And when you do your font, you're going to click on whatever word you want and go up into this left-hand corner and click fonts. In fonts, you have all, system, and Cricut. I am not paying $4.99 for a font. That's just my preference, but if you want to, be my guest. And they will all come up in the all thing. But I like system because these are the ones that I've either downloaded um, or that I already had on my system from doing my editing videos. Okay, and you're going to scroll down. It's going to have all yours up here. I did have a particular font that I wanted to pick to show you how kerning works. So this is the one I'm going to pick. It's Better Phoenix. I believe I got this one off defont.com. We're going to come over here and we're going to do that away again. Better, I'll just type it so that it's always up here. And when you type it, you can click on it. And when you go to change the font for the next word, it's going to be right there. Okay. So we're going to change that one. I don't quite like that and symbol, so I'm going to change that font. And there we go. All of them are the Better Phoenix fonts. I'm actually going to change this font to something different. Let's go with this beach party. I should have thought this out beforehand. All right, let's go with, I don't want something too scripty. Let's go with this one. Okay, yeah, that one's good. All right. So once you pick the font, and I always pick the font before I start to kern, because once you do that, once you ungroup them to kern them, you can no longer make the entire word the same font unless you do them individually by letter. So that's why I like changing the font first, and then we're going on to ungrouping and kerning. All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on the first word, which for me it's thankful. And you're going to come over to this top area over here, and you're going to click ungroup. And what that does is it ungroups each letter so that they can be clicked on individually. And this is what you want to see. You want to see that every letter is its own little box instead of the entire word being its own box, okay? So over here, you'll see that they've split up. It's no longer one word, it's all the letters, okay? So we're gonna move this out of the way. We haven't ungrouped that yet, so that's actually still one word. We're gonna move that out of the way, and we're gonna focus on this one, okay? So once it's ungrouped, what I like to do is I like to click the letters and hold shift on my keyboard. Holding shift basically makes it pretty much snap to grid. These little lines behind it makes it snap to grid. And that's what I want. I want it to be all on the same line that it is currently. Without holding shift, you pretty much can just move it anywhere. If you want to put it down here or something like that, you can do that. But that's not what I want to do. So I'm going to click on the H, hold shift, and basically I'm going to tighten it up a little bit. And where you see these swoops that come off of the letters in the cursive way, I kind of like to connect them so that it's like all one word. Okay. I'm going to do the same for this. I'm going to do the same for this one. Again, holding shift. Oh, this is another thing. So I'm going to keep that over there first. So if you are holding shift to move this letter, don't keep holding shift to click on the L, because what it's going to do, it's going to select both letters and then they're both going to move around. Okay, so that's not what we want. We want, I'm going to back that up a little bit. We want to, once you finish moving this letter, let go of shift and then click and hold shift to move this letter. Okay, same click, hold shift to move this comma. Okay. And that way your letters are closer together. They look more in unison instead of being spaced all out and funky, okay? So once you have done this, you are going to regroup your word. So like we ungrouped it, we're going to regroup it. So what I do is I make sure, because I always forget these commas, the apostrophes, the dashes, I like to go like right by the comma to make sure I'm including that in the whole section, okay? So in order to figure out if you included the comma, because sometimes doing that, it still leaves the comma out. Once I select everything, I like to move it. And if the comma doesn't move with it, then I know I need to go back and regroup it, okay? So once it has been grouped, or once it has been selected, you're going to go over here and you're going to hit group. That groups it all as one word. So now, even if you don't select the entire word, you can still click it and it's all grouped together now, okay? So once it's grouped together, here's this little intimidating button down here called weld. Me and this button done had it out many, many times, but I think I figured it out, okay? Welding basically makes it so that, and I'm going to try to explain this correctly, welding makes it so that your word is one cut, okay? So like this H and A, for example, since the H is flowing into the A, you still have this little piece right here coming from the H. If I didn't weld it, it would actually cut out the H into the A instead of making it kind of disappear into the A. If that makes sense. I hope I'm explaining it correctly. Okay, so we're going to click on that and we're going to come down here and click weld. And it basically formed it into one word. And if you look over here, it says weld result, and it formed it so that it all will flow together as one cut. Okay, next, I think grateful was the next word. The next word is going to be grateful. And I'm going to do this one a little bit different. Okay, so I'm going to do it the not so easy way, I guess. So we're going to ungroup this word the same way we did thankful over here in the right hand panel. And again, you can see that it has broken up the word. And we're going to select the R, hold shift, and move it over. And then we're going to do the same thing for the A, the same thing that we did for thankful. We're going to do the for grateful. And I basically eyeball it. Like, you don't really know where to put it because it doesn't flow as one word when you type it out. Oh, see, I held shift down and I clicked on the U, and it actually brought the F along with it. So we are going to click this one, move this back over a little bit, undo shift, and move this back over. And then we're going to do the L and the comma. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do for this word. I'm going to actually select this G, and I want to make it bigger than the rest of grateful. Okay. So you can either come up here to size, and you can change the size by number, or you can just click and drag this thing so that it makes it bigger. Okay. And once that is done, then you can select the word, again, making sure to include the comma. When I said that to make sure you include the comma, just move it around. And if the comma goes with it, then it's good. So we are going to group up in this right hand corner, and then we're going to weld. Okay, and this is going to be all one word back together. So we got thankful, we got grateful, and then we have blessed. Oh, wait, we got and somewhere around here. I think I lost it. Oh, no, there it is. All right. So we got and I'm going to do that just slightly. I'm going to leave that the way it is and click on it and kind of move it up such as that. I will be moving it again just to kind of get everything in line. But here we have blessed. Again, we're going to ungroup. We're going to take the L, click, shift, take the E, click, shift, S, click, shift. I hate this S, by the way. S, click, shift, E, click, shift, and D, click, shift. Okay. And I want to see if this weld will do it to this word because it did it before and it drove me crazy. And I want to show you what I'm talking about. When you hit weld or group first, and then you hit weld, let's see. It didn't quite do it. But sometimes it'll move this little piece where I put together the S's. It'll move it so that it's kind of off from what I did. And then you can't unweld something unless you hit the back button. So if it messes up, you're going to hit the back button instead of like unweld because there's no unweld. And if you make that mistake, you hit the back button, you ungroup it, and then you're going to move it, click. You're going to move it a little bit so that it kind of lines up better. I'm actually going to move this Yeah. So I'm going to leave it like that. Select it again, group, and then I'm going to weld it. And we're just going to leave it like that. Lord know my heart, because I can't get it straight. But this is what you got. If you want to keep, if you want to keep going back and forth to seeing, to see if it'll make a smoother transition, you're more than welcome to. But most of the things that I do are for gifts. So, and my family understands that I'm not perfect. So, and then I don't use certain fonts. Like this one, I really don't use because I don't like how the cursive flows into each other. But that's just my opinion. So we're gonna bring this up here. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger than the rest. And voila. Okay. So here's another thing. Once you have done that and all your words are grouped together, are you finished? No. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to measure the area on my tumbler that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to make a decision. Either I'm going to cut them out individually so that I can kind of put them wherever I want to on the tumbler, or I'm going to put it together in this nice little fancy like design kind of thing, which I think I might do it like that. And if I want it to look exactly like this, um, if I want it to be in this kind of formation, then what you're going to do is you can either select like that, or to make absolutely sure you select everything, you just go up here to where it says select all with the plus symbol in the box and click that, select all, and it's going to select everything on the page. So make sure you want everything on the page. So what I'm going to do here is, because I want it like this in this exact formation, I am going to come down here and I'm going to hit weld. Now what that did, it made it one image. So it says thankful, grateful, and blessed in one image. So it's going to cut like this. Okay, it's not going to cut them out individually. It's not going to cut them out, the words out individually. It's going to cut one image. Okay, so this little thing is really bothering me, but y'all get the drift. Yeah, the drift. I will just cut it out like this. So once I measured my tumbler, which I already did, um, my width can't be above 5. So considering I don't want this to wrap all the way around the tumbler, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to unlock this. This lock right here is for the width and the height. So if it's locked, it'll move, when you move this, it'll move it all as one, um, in one direction. So it's not going to make it wider. It's just going to make it, well, it's going to make it wider, but it's going to make it so that it stays in the height width that it already was. But if you come down here and you unlock it, you see that this changed also. So you can move it this way, you can move it this way, or you can just continue to move it that way, okay? So I'm going to crunch it up a little bit because I want it to be about 5.5, but I want the length to be 5.3, and I think that's good. You have to be careful because you don't want your words to be all scrunched up together. So I'm going to show you. Like if you bring this over too much, like everything just kind of look crunched up, even though your height is maybe what you want it. You don't want it to be super crunched up. So I'm actually going to hit the back because I don't know what it was. Okay. So this is what I got. This will fit on my, it's actually not a tumbler. It's more of like a sports bottle type thing. Um, and I'm going to show you what to do now. So when you have everything the way you want it, you can come up here. You can change the color. I think the tumbler is green, so I think I want to make it white. So this is how it's going to print out. It's going to print out white. And now we're going to move on to actually getting it to print out. So if you can see, I have 5.817 by 4.365. And that's going to kind of tell me how big my vinyl needs to be. So if you click Make It, it's going to bring up this mat. This mat is a lifesaver, a time saver, if you follow it correctly. So my vinyl needs to be, first of all, I don't like it to be touching this red line right here because I feel like it's going to cut it off. And then I'm going to have to use more vinyl, aka spend more money. Um, so I like to take it down from that red line a little bit and over from the red line so it's not touching the side red line or the top red line. That's just my preference. If you find that it works, be my guest and do you, boo boo. So we are going to read this. This is the exact mat if you use Cricut brand. Also, if you use, I think it's Nicapa is another brand that I use. It's Nicapa, and they're good. They follow pretty much Cricut guidelines, so all their stuff is kind of the same. Um, and that's actually the mat that I'm using now. All right, so on your mat, if you take your mat, your physical mat, and you look, you have the top part right here where their little hanging thing is. I always use that to insert into my Cricut. It's just my preference again. So you're going to look for 0 is going to be right here. That's the edge of the border where you don't want to go past in this gray because it's not going to cut on that. So your vinyl needs to extend from 0 to a little bit past 6. I am pretty anal about it, so I always go to the next number. Like if it extends to 6, I always go to 7 instead of like doing 6.5 or whatever, 6 3/4. I just, say forget it and go to 7 just to make absolutely sure. So your vinyl is going to have to be 7 wide by 5 long. So you see this B doesn't touch the 5, so it can go down to 5. All right. So 7 wide by 5. Just make sure you look at your mat. Again, your mat numbers are the same. You have smaller numbers on this side and on the bottom, but these numbers are what I go by. So my vinyl will be 7 by 5, and that's what I'm going to cut. I actually have a self-healing mat that has the same exact grid as the Cricut mat, I guess by inches, and it has little boxes on it. So that's what I use to cut out my vinyl. I just put my vinyl down on the mat, line it up, and I have my 7 by 5. So that's what I will be doing to cut out this vinyl. Once you have cut out the vinyl, you are going to, of course, weed it, varnish it, all that other good stuff that we'll get into in the next video. Now, I did want to say this because someone asked me about making t-shirts. So if you're going to put some writing on a t-shirt, you always, always, always want to mirror it. And that's basically going to flip it backwards so that the sticky side will go down on the shirt or the bag or whatever you're making. You're gonna mirror it. Now, if you're making something like an ornament, a tumbler, or something of that nature, you don't want to mirror it because then you're just gonna be screwed and you're gonna be upset because it's not gonna be right. So you're gonna turn that around and this is how you're gonna print it out. Material size, basically, you can go by your regular 12 by 12, which is the size of your mat. I also have a 12 by 24, which is a longer mat for printing out like car decals and stuff that's longer. I'm making a decal for my wall, those things like that. You're gonna need the 12 by 24, okay? But for right now, we're gonna stick with the standard mat and we're gonna go 12 by 12. And you can go up here and make multiple copies of the same thing, but I never do it this way. I always just duplicate, and I'll have one here, one here, one here, one here, and print it all on one mat because Ain't nobody got time for that. And it's much easier this way. Okay. So I am going to hit continue. I'm actually not going to print this out yet because I've already printed it out or cut it out. I use the Bluetooth. Your Cricut should be Bluetooth compatible. Um, and it'll automatically connect so you don't have to use the white cord. But if you use the white cord, that's perfectly fine. I actually found that the white cord will connect faster than the Bluetooth, but it's fine. So you're gonna have your vinyl setting. If you're cutting out vinyl, you're gonna have to vinyl. If you're cutting out glitter vinyl, which is another one that I do, um, you can change the setting on your Cricut, and it will bring up a list of materials that you can click. Cardstock, fabric, which I don't do, felt, foam, aluminum, all that other good stuff. So we are going to just go with regular vinyl because again, I'm not going to print it out. But actually, I'm going to click on glitter vinyl because I want to show you guys something. So if you click on glitter vinyl, again, this is in the custom settings on your dial on your Cricut. If you click glitter vinyl, what I found is that you might need to adjust the pressure. So if your blade is not as sharp as it was, or if your blade is too sharp, aka mine is very sharp right now, you may want to change the pressure. So this is how hard your blade is going to push down on the vinyl. So when you have glitter vinyl, you're going to need it to have more pressure. Most of the time, you're going to need it to have more pressure. Right now, I can suffice with default pressure. But when I had my old blade in, I would go here and click more. And that means that the blade is going to push down harder so that it can cut out better. Okay, so we're going to click more or less or default, whatever the case may be. It says here that no tools are required in clamp A. You should have a fine point blade or whatever blade that you're using for your project, and then you're going to hit this button on your Cricut. This is going to load the mat. So you put the mat under those little clamps on the right and left side. You're going to push that button and it's actually going to load in your mat. Once you push that button, I'm actually going to push it so that the screen will change. Once you push that button, your screen is going to change and it's going to come up and say that your tools and mat have been loaded, and you're going to press go. So go is the Cricut button on your physical Cricut. You can do fast mode, but I found that fast mode, this is just my opinion, I found that fast mode is kind of sloppy with the cutting. So I just let it do its thing, in regular mode. It's still not as slow as the first Cricut, but I let it do its thing and it cuts out and it's fine. But again, I found that fast mode kind of cuts it out sloppily, and then I'll have to load more vinyl, aka waste more money. Okay, so once you hit the Cricut button, it's gonna pop up and it's gonna cut it out. Okay, so that's what we have in the first video, and I want you to let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about just wording or, anything that I may have missed. I am happy to answer questions. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it. I will be uploading part 2 of this video, which is going to be working with images. And I know that's a big popular one because images are very confusing, and especially if you're not buying them already in an SVG file, images can be a bit daunting. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will answer any questions that may come up. You guys have a good day. Thank you for watching.